Well, for people that don't know what Charlestown is, when I grew up, very blue collar, majority Irish, very tough town. Meaning you played, you went down the corner, there was fights everywhere. You know what I mean? And was everybody was based on where you grew up. Like I grew up in Hay Square, which was near the projects, right outside liquor store. You went up the street, it was Monument Street. That was their crew. You went to Fowler's Park. Everywhere was packed with kids on every corner, and that was their corner. That's where you were associated with. Now the fights break out with each other there all the time. We played sports against each other. Ball hockey, might as well have been the Bruins Canadians. But if you were in town Boston later on and you were in a bar in Faneuil Hall, as you know those bars,
Yeah.
if something broke out, the same crew would jump in for each other.
Yeah. The
You know, had
Charlestown
somebody.
guys would say be against South Boston.
Salty, yeah.
Chris, how far did you grow up from?
I
15,
grew
20
up
minutes.
from Jimmy about 20 minutes to the other side of the city.
We were kind of located, Tim, in Charlestown, separated from everything else. And
Okay.
we used to think Chris, where's he from? West Roxbury. We used to think that was rich Irish for crime. We don't know why, but that was that.
Spoon
We're
fed.
going to get those guys.
Spoon fed for sure.
Yeah,
Two
next thing you
toilet
need-
Irish.
Yeah, well, we
Two
didn't know
toilet
that was
Irish.
the chip we used, but I could see the Boston Gardens from my kitchen window. Okay, and we knew the old Boston Gardens better than we knew school. We were in and out of that building for Celtics games, Bruins games, through the roof, through fire escapes, everywhere. We knew how to get in and out of that place better than anywhere. We owned the place. Then later on in life, I was working for the Bull Gang, taking the floor up for the Bruins Celtics game in high school, putting it down. I worked at the Bruins Pro Shop. Then eventually got a paycheck from the Boston Bruins. So I knew that place very, very well. We'd walk there, walk home. Everything was right there. It was a tough town to grow up in. A lot of guys that I know and guys Chris know didn't make it out of there, meaning got in trouble, went down the wrong road, and very, very good athletes that could have went on and done stuff. And it's sad, a lot of guys end up in jail. A lot of guys end up dead. It was real.
No, that's real.
It's real.
Jim, we hear a lot of people say that, I grew up in a town, my friends are dead or in jail.
Yeah,
Now,
this is real.
Listen, Tim, The Town, the movie The Town with Ben Affleck, it's about the Robin Brink's trucks and all
Banks
that.
and all
Anyway,
that,
that's the real deal.
Yeah.
And a lot of Charlestown guys, that's what they did. A lot of them, there was that lore from the generations before that. That's what these guys did. They robbed banks, they robbed Brinks trucks, and then the next generation would come in. It was almost a badge of honor to rob a Brinks truck or a bank.
It's like somebody said before that's doing life in jail, I don't have to mention his name, said, if we grew up around the town with doctors and lawyers, we might have been doctors and lawyers. That was their badge of honor, so to say, to rob an armored car, do whatever, okay? All majority come from good families and, broke a lot of hearts. But as crazy as the town was, some of the nicest people in the world who had nothing would take you in and give you something to eat, give you a jacket if somebody was lacking a jacket. So a lot of caring, good people. And a lot of times our neighborhood got a bad reputation. I grew up during forced busing, and the city of Boston, just had a bad reputation. And it got worse and worse. But the town has changed a lot now. That I remember in the 80s, people say, oh, you live in Charlestown, like it was down. Now everybody lives in Charlestown or South Boston, and you can't afford to friggin' buy a little studio as big as the bathroom for crying out loud. Before, nobody wanted to live there. Now you can't afford to live there. But I came from, like I say, Chris, my dad was passed away. My mother, raised me, and I had 2 older sisters and a brother. And like I say, you did your own thing, but a lot of times in the back of my mind, I know I could have went down that wrong road. And all the times I had that little thing in my head saying, don't hurt your mother. She used to always say that to me. Don't ever bring bad news home here or embarrass the family. And I was no angel, believe me, but that kept me going the right way, And, she was my mother, father. My 2 grandparents are already gone before. So she was everything to me. And she used to want to tell me, hey, you're on the street, don't ever back down. You got to stand up for yourself or you'll get abused the rest of your life. I remember saying one time, hey, the kid's 5, 6, 7, 8 years bigger than you, pick up something and hit him with that. That's how you had to do it, was survival in those days. And you remember Howie Long, the football player.
Yeah.
Grew up in Charlestown. He got in trouble. He had to move out with forced busing. And I was watching something John Madden was talking about him. He said, wherever Howie comes from, they raise tough men. And Howie was speaking, saying he wanted to be a hockey player his whole life because everybody played ball hockey. and how we said, who didn't take a beating once or twice or more in that town? You know, I mean, everybody did. You know, that was the way it went.
Yeah,
And,
for
and I
sure
don't
the
talk
way it
about it a
went.
lot, but I know you know about it because you hung there. And I
Yeah.
always tell you, hey, Chris Lyon got his toughness from his father and hanging in Charlestown, not West Roxbury. That's what I always
Yeah.
say.
There's
And
no
not
question.
fooling around. But
No question.
yeah, it was a tough town, Chris, and you know it, I know it. And I know a lot of people talk, yeah, where I grew up, this guy got arrested. This is real. You know, this stuff was real. I still have friends that are not with us right now because of bad situations. They're either in jail or dead. You know, so that's
Is
that.
there any
That
other any other guys that played in the NHL out of Charleston?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, Jack O'Callahan.
Oh
From
yeah,
the,
I know Jack.
okay, you want to talk about all roads lead to Charlestown. So Fitzgerald's mother and father from Charlestown. Kachuk's mother and father from Charlestown. The Yandel's father from Charlestown.
Hayes.
Hayes' mother
Wow.
from Charlestown.
Yeah.
They're like my relatives for crying out loud. My brother Tommy married Kevin and Jimmy's mom's sister. You know, and that's why when Jimmy was coming out of school, people, oh, how do you go with the Rangers? Well, we're playing with Kevin. They're like family and best friends. It was his decision, you know, and that's why it was easy to walk in the dressing room when Kevin Hayes, like a relative, welcoming in his dressing room. As we all know, walking that dressing room for the first time is a tough thing to do as a rookie.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
Tim, just a little bit on Charlestown. That it's 1 square mile. The Bunker Hill Monument is there, which is like the Washington Monument, same thing. And the Battle of Bunker Hill, the British and the Minutemen
all that, yeah.
of Massachusetts had the Battle of Bunker Hill. Anyway, in that 1 square mile, back in when Bobby Orr came to Boston and became such a big thing, they ended up building hockey rinks in different neighborhoods in the city to keep the kids off the street. And they built one right in Charlestown. And that was Jimmy, right? This is where you learn to play hockey. This is where you kind of where you got your start.
Got my start. Chris is so right. I had an older brother, and we lived in 6 apartments. We'd call it the compound. We'd say, God forbid there was ever a fire, there'd be 150 people homeless because it was all family. 6 apartments, all living, all doors open. So I had my brother Tommy, my cousin Mark, my cousin Billy. They were older. So the Bobby Orr era was coming. That's all I seen was the hockey. I'd be the one holding the TV with the rabbit ears with the tinfoil on it to make sure the TV wasn't jumping. Remember those days, Chris?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, WSBK TV 38. So I seen them doing it in our ball hockey games. Like everybody in the corner would be down there playing all day, all night until you couldn't see no more. And that's where I really learned how to play. Then they started hockey in a church league at St. Catherine's, right in the Progress where I hung out. And on Sundays, my goal was, I was on a little rink. I was wobbling all over there, falling down. My goal was to make it to the big rink where my brother and my cousins played. And that's basically where the hockey started. On there with Father Smith started, and a lot of good Charlestown players that play, like Michael Fiddler from Charlestown was playing around Chris's time. That was like we were looking up to Michael Fiddler. Like we wanted to be there so we could identify when the North Stars come in town. Everybody wanted to see Michael Fiddler at the pregame skate. There'd be 1,000 Charlestown kids in the stands watching the practice for crying out loud. You know, we pulled behind them. And there was a lot of good players, like you say. Jackie O'Callahan played at BU with Mark Fiddler. Then when they won the national title, Billy Carter. A lot of good Charlestown players throughout college, Timmy, and a lot of guys that could have went on and played college, but went down the wrong road. That were really, really good players that ended up getting themselves in trouble. You know, Chris knows some of the guys his age that were tough kids and just didn't make it. You know, they end up in the wrong route and boom, didn't play for whatever reason. But for 1 square mile, we're right there in the heart. Like I say, I could be at the Boston Gardens in a 5-minute walk. Bobby Orr coming in there, you know, they started putting the NBC rinks in the different towns, and we had no thing. It was wide open, so it just had a roof on it. So we could hop the fence at night, clean the ice with however we did it, just play all day, you know, until the cops come. You know what I mean? That's how we get in the rink. It was closed. We hop over the fence, throw the bag over, boom, you play. It was like we're there all night. It was till the lights couldn't see. So Bobby Orr was a big thing, and it helped us, the city kids, do something to have a place to go to skate and all that stuff. And ice was scarce because now everybody wanted to skate. You know, everybody wanted to be Bobby Orr.